Welcome to English Stories Journey. Listen, relax, and grow your English with every story. It was late October, and the air already smelled like Halloween. The wind outside carried the sound of dry leaves scratching against the window, and the sky was heavy with clouds. Inside her small room, Mia sat at her desk, a mug of cold coffee beside her laptop. 17 years old, quiet, and a little shy, Mia didn't go to many parties or hang out with big groups. Her favorite thing to do was write. On her YouTube channel, she shared the scary stories she wrote herself. Little tales about haunted places, dark secrets, and strange voices in the night. She didn't have many followers, but the ones she did have loved her work. This Halloween, she wanted to make something special. Something darker. She opened a new document and typed the title, The Abandoned. But this time, she didn't want to write about a haunted house or a ghost in the woods. That felt too easy, too far away from real life. She wanted something closer, something that felt possible. What if, she whispered to herself, the scary story was about someone like me? She smiled at the idea. A student, alone in her room, starts to notice strange things. Sounds that don't belong. Shadows that move when no one's there. Maybe she dreams of people she's never met. People who whisper her name. Mia began to type, fast and focused. The girl lived an ordinary life. But lately, her world had started to change. She felt it first in her sleep, strange dreams full of fog and whispering voices. Then, when she was awake, she felt eyes watching her from somewhere she couldn't see. The words came easily, as if the story already existed and she was only uncovering it. She described how the girl's phone would light up by itself, how her reflection sometimes blinked a second too late, how the sound of footsteps followed her in empty hallways. Outside, the wind grew stronger. The curtain by the window moved even though the window was closed. Mia rubbed her arms. The room felt colder. Her cat, Luna, lifted her head and stared at the corner near the bookshelf, eyes wide. Mia looked over her shoulder. Nothing. "Stop it, Luna," she said, laughing softly. "You're making it creepy." But when she turned back to the screen, a chill ran down her neck. She could swear she hadn't written that last line. The girl's cat stopped looking at her and started looking behind her. Mia blinked, frowning. Did she type that by accident? Maybe she was just tired. She deleted the sentence, shook her head, and kept writing. Hours passed. Outside, the streetlights flickered. The house around her grew quiet. Her parents were asleep, the world still. Only the sound of typing filled the room. Finally, just after midnight, she finished. The story ended with the girl realizing she was not alone, that something, or someone, had found her. Mia leaned back and smiled, satisfied. It was her best story yet. Dark, realistic, and just mysterious enough. She uploaded it to her channel with the title, The Abandoned Halloween Special. And then she waited. Within minutes, comments started to appear. "Wow, this one gave me chills. I swear I heard something while listening. It felt so real, like it actually happened."
Mia grinned. That was exactly what she wanted, to make her listeners feel something, to make them believe, just for a moment, that the story could be true. She scrolled further, reading more praise, her heart warm with pride. But then, at the very bottom, one comment stopped her. It was short. No emoji, no username she recognized, just one simple line. "You shouldn't have written that." Her smile faded. She clicked on the comment, but the account didn't exist. No profile picture, no videos, nothing, just an empty gray circle. When she refreshed the page, the comment was gone. Huh, she whispered. Weird. She decided not to think about it. Maybe it was a prank or a glitch. She closed her laptop and stood up. The room was freezing now. She could see her breath in the air. She wrapped herself in a blanket and turned off the light. As she lay in bed, Luna jumped up beside her, curling into a soft ball of warmth. Mia smiled, stroking the cat's fur. But before she closed her eyes, she noticed something strange on her desk. Her laptop screen had turned on again. It showed her story, the last paragraph she'd written. The words were the same, except for one new line at the bottom. After posting her story, the girl went to sleep, but the story wasn't finished. Mia froze. Her finger hovered over the power button. The screen flickered, then went black. Maybe it was nothing, just the computer updating or something. She turned away, forcing herself to breathe normally. The house creaked. The wind outside howled. And from the corner near the bookshelf, the same one Luna had stared at earlier, came a faint sound, like a whisper, like someone breathing softly, almost in rhythm with her own breath. Mia pulled the blanket closer and shut her eyes. It's just my imagination, she told herself. It's only a story. But deep inside, part of her wondered if the comment was right. Maybe she really shouldn't have written that. The next morning, Mia woke up with a heavy head and dry eyes. Her sleep had been restless, full of strange dreams she couldn't quite remember, only flashes of dark shapes and whispering voices calling her name. She sat up slowly. The sunlight coming through the curtains felt gray instead of warm, and her body ached as if she hadn't slept at all. A quiet thought crossed her mind. This is exactly how the girl in my story felt when she woke up. Mia shook her head and laughed to herself. Okay, that's weird, she murmured, trying to sound casual. Too much imagination. She stood and stretched, walking into the hallway toward the kitchen. As she passed under the ceiling light, it flickered once, then twice. The bulb buzzed faintly, then stopped. Her hand froze on the wall switch. The flickering hallway light. Her stomach tightened. That was one of the details she had written in The Abandoned. The girl in her story had noticed the same thing, a light that flickered every time she walked by. Trying to ignore the feeling, Mia made breakfast. The cat rubbed against her leg, meowing softly, then stared toward the hallway again. Mia followed her gaze. Nothing there. She told herself she was just tired. Halloween week always made her nervous, and she'd stayed up too late writing. That's all. But as the day went on, more things started to feel wrong. When she opened her closet to get her jacket, a soft noise came from the back, like something brushing against fabric. She froze. There was only darkness inside, the smell of old perfume and dust. She quickly closed the door. Her hands started to tremble slightly. She sat down at her desk, staring at the laptop she had used the night before. The memory of that strange extra sentence, "The story wasn't finished," came back to her. Maybe she imagined it. Maybe it was just fatigue. Still, she needed to check. She opened her laptop. The cold blue light of the screen filled her face. Her story file was already open, even though she was sure she hadn't clicked anything. Her eyes widened. There were new sentences in the text. She scrolled slowly, heart pounding. Right after the last line she remembered writing, new words appeared in her font, her spacing, her tone, but she hadn't typed them. The girl woke up the next morning feeling dizzy. Her hallway light flickered. She heard a noise in her closet. Mia's breath caught. That was her morning. Every small thing. Every single detail. She leaned back in her chair, her heart beating too fast. Okay, this has to be some kind of joke. Maybe someone had hacked her account. Or maybe the file had glitched, copying lines she had written before. She opened her drafts folder. Empty. Checked the timestamps. All normal. Her channel notifications blinked. 10 new comments overnight. But before she could open them, she noticed something else at the bottom of the story. A final line she didn't remember ever writing. She tried to delete the story, but it was already too late. The words pulsed on the screen as if the letters were breathing. Mia's fingers hovered over the keyboard. She highlighted the new text, pressed delete. Nothing happened. The words stayed. She tried again, harder. Still nothing. Her throat felt dry. She whispered, "Who's doing this?" No answer. Only the quiet hum of the computer fan. She quickly closed the file and disconnected the Wi-Fi. Then she reopened the story offline. But the same line was still there, glowing faintly, like it was written with light instead of ink. She tried to delete the story, but it was already too late. Her reflection on the dark screen stared back at her, pale, frightened, unsure if she was imagining all of it. Maybe this was her mind playing tricks after too many hours writing horror. Or maybe something else was writing with her. Her phone buzzed again. She picked it up. A message appeared on the lock screen from an unknown number. It said, "Don't delete it." Her breath stopped. The phone slipped from her hand and hit the floor. The room was suddenly cold again. Luna hissed softly and ran under the bed. Mia sat perfectly still, staring at her computer screen. That night, the air in Mia's room felt thick and heavy, as if it carried a secret. The house was quiet. Even the usual city noises outside, cars, music, voices, seemed far away, like they belonged to another world. Mia sat on her bed, hugging her knees, trying to calm down. The strange message on her phone still echoed in her mind. Don't delete it. She had checked the number again and again, but there was no contact, no history, no trace of who had sent it. Her cat, Luna, refused to come out from under the bed. Every few minutes, the cat's low growl filled the silence. Mia whispered, "It's okay, girl. It's just a glitch, or maybe a virus." But she didn't believe her own words. The wind outside brushed against her window. It almost sounded like a voice, soft, slow, calling her name. Mia. She turned sharply, heart racing. Nothing. Only the reflection of her lamp in the window pane. She took a deep breath, stood up, and walked closer. Her reflection looked pale and tired, her hair messy, her eyes darker than usual. She leaned in, studying her own face. Then she froze. Her reflection was smiling. A small, slow, wrong smile. Mia stepped back so fast she almost tripped. No, that's not real. She blinked, and the reflection was normal again. Just her, frightened and breathing too fast. Her laptop screen lit up behind her, a faint blue glow across the room. She hadn't touched it. It was open to her story again. For a long moment, she didn't move. Then slowly, she walked back to her desk. Her fingers trembled as she scrolled through the text. Something was different. The description of the girl, the one she had written about, had changed. She had written that the girl was quiet with dark hair and thoughtful eyes. Now it said, she had brown eyes, a small scar on her hand, and a necklace she always wore. Mia looked down at her own hand, the same tiny scar from when she'd fallen off her bike as a kid, and around her neck, her silver necklace, the one she wore every day. She felt cold all over. Her story was describing her. She scrolled to the top of the page.
The name of her character used to be Claire, but now, at the very first line, she read, Mia was starting to hear whispers. She gasped, "No!" The cursor blinked at the end of the line, like it was waiting for her. Her heart pounded. She tried to click the file closed, but it didn't respond. She pressed Control W, nothing. She opened Task Manager to force it to shut, but as soon as she did, the file reopened itself. And now, new words were typing on the screen by themselves. She tried to delete the story, but it was too late. The story was already writing her. Her stomach twisted. Her fingers shook as she hit delete. The screen flickered, the words disappeared for a second, then came back exactly the same. She shouted at the screen, "Stop it!" and slammed the laptop shut. Silence. Then a faint click, and the laptop opened by itself again. The screen glowed white and the cursor started to move. Letters appeared one by one, slow and deliberate. You can't delete yourself. Mia stumbled backward, hitting the wall. Her breathing came fast and shallow. "This isn't happening. This is not real." She grabbed her phone to record it, but the camera wouldn't open, just static. She tried to call her best friend, but the phone restarted by itself. The screen flashed once, then instead of her text, she saw an image, her own face caught in the glow of the screen, looking terrified. Only in the reflection, she was smiling again. And her reflection whispered something she couldn't hear. Mia's knees went weak. She reached out slowly, as if touching the keyboard could somehow stop it. But the screen went black. Her reflection remained, faintly visible, her lips moving in the dark glass. Then, from the speaker, a quiet voice spoke in her own tone. "It's all right, Mia. You don't have to write anymore. I'll finish it for you."
Mia didn't sleep that night. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw it, her own face smiling back at her from places it shouldn't be. The window, the blank TV screen, the dark glass of her phone. It wasn't a reflection, it was a watcher. By morning, she felt dizzy, unsure what was real anymore. The air in her room felt heavier, like someone else had been breathing it too. Her laptop was on, even though she was sure she'd shut it down. The story file still glowed on the screen. The Abandoned, by Mia Carter. But the timestamp had changed. Last edited 3:17 a.m. She hadn't touched it. She opened it anyway. The words were rearranged, the sentences twisted. Her character, the girl who had once been just fiction, now wrote journal entries describing Mia's life, what she wore, where she studied, who she texted. It knew everything. And then, at the end of the page, a new line appeared, slowly, letter by letter, as if an invisible hand was typing, "Stop pretending, Mia. You know I'm real." Her pulse thundered. She slammed the laptop shut. That's when her phone buzzed. 6 unread messages, all from her friends. "That new video on your channel, is that real? Mia, are you pranking us? This is seriously messed up." She froze. "What video?" she whispered. When she opened YouTube, her stomach dropped. There was a new upload, one she never made. The Abandoned, final chapter. Her finger trembled as she clicked. The video began with the familiar soft music she always used for her story narrations, but this time, there was no intro, no editing. The screen showed her room, her desk, her laptop, her chair. She saw herself sitting there, typing, but the angle was wrong.
The camera was across the room, recording her from behind. And then the camera shifted. Another Mia stood behind the first one, the same face, but with that twisted, knowing smile. She leaned closer to the one sitting and whispered in a voice that echoed through the speakers, "Now you're the story."
The lights in the video flickered. The screen glitched. The image distorted, melting into black static. When it cleared, the chair was empty. Only the reflection in the dark laptop screen remained, grinning faintly. A week later, her channel kept posting. New videos appeared almost every night, each one beginning the same way. Welcome back. I'm Mia. Today's story is called The Abandoned. Her voice sounded almost right, but not quite. Too calm, too hollow. Her friends said she never answered messages again. Her room was found locked, her laptop missing. But somehow, the channel remained active. Sometimes the camera flickered, and behind Mia, a tall shadow could be seen, standing perfectly still. The final words of the latest upload faded onto the screen, white against the darkness. Every story wants to be real. Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe for more English stories.